Yeah.
I feel like, okay, I feel like what'll eventually happen is, you know, we have a couple of Gibraltar head-to-heads, yada, 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 and maybe it's, you know, it's a bit too close for some teams. What'll eventually happen is one team will get confident enough on Rialto that they will go to it, and then suddenly everyone has to ensure that they are confident enough because that team's going to pick it against them. And then everyone ends up good enough at it, and it'll just slowly, like all new maps, make its way in.
I also want to point out that Incipience do have a reasonably large roster, but they haven't made any swaps just yet, feeling pretty confident. These are the 6 members that they want to be running.
Oh,
hey, maybe for good reason.
Yeah, that could be well-placed confidence. Trades one straight back, though, so and Shylin gets the res, and there we go, the res as well into Cryptic. So, no change, no harm, no foul.
I like that Diva gets one leg stuck in the steel trap, but, you know, has like a jetpack anyway. Shouldn't you just be able to fly up
with the steel trap, yeah.
I don't know.
Just for men wise than me. Another headshot onto Cryptic. He is not having a great day to start with. 1010 even gets a headshot onto Metallic. Don't know how that works, but it does. And that's Hong Kong Attitude on this defense, looking decent, but they really need to start closing the door on this one if they want to make it a sure thing, because Incipients are starting to get pressure on the point. Indeed, now Cap on the point.
Well, that's it, right? 1 tick about to be 2 ticks here, 2 members on there.
Hong Kong Attitude gets some boots on the ground.
Well, that's the thing. Hong Kong Attitude need to be able to actually affect this point right now. Mikau is struggling to find targets. He's using the automatic portion of the sniper rifle. Not really what you want to see here. 1010's finally able to get some trades in there, but did come at the cost of 2 ticks.
1010's really just put the team on his back. Another one for him. That all started, would you believe it? But the reason I was laughing is 1010 destroyed Xenofly's mech with his own remech. I just love that. It's like there can be only one.
It's a rare kill feed, but you like it when you see it.
I mean, yeah, it's so joyous. It really, really does, because it deals such a tiny amount of damage. I just really like it. But at any rate, they have at least beaten back the tide for now, but a little lean on ultimates, not looking super comfortable. Incipients only need that extra third.
And they're really going hard with the double tank ultimates, and so far haven't found any mileage, have found some positioning, but Savage Dab has just kind of struggled to land himself on one specific target. Eventually goes down as well. I don't feel like they really got anything out of either tank ultimate.
They just kind of threw the self-destruct forward. I think they were trying to make space for Savage Dab, but unfortunately, the ultimate just wasn't well enough placed, the self-destruct. It didn't force Hong Kong Attitude into any positions that Savage Dab could actually take advantage of. So they just kind of wasted a bunch of ultimates and a bunch of time. And in the meantime, Hong Kong Attitude had just got a nice set of like kills here and there just to trickle things on, just to stall things out.
You can start to see how important area control is, right? When Hong Kong Attitude have control over this opening section, these 2 doors, find which direction Incipients are going. They have infrasight to spot that one out. Incipients don't really have a chance to just walk into a lot of fire, but once Incipients get onto the point, they get 90.5%. They have the capability to actually cap this one out, but so far, look at this sneaky play.
Oh man. Absolutely red. That is so nicely done from Shylin. And now they're going to be able to collapse in, already spotting out the Zenyatta on the back line. Xeon Flux can answer with a Transcendence, and they pick Shylin. And that's a pretty nice start, all things considered. Incipients, this looks like it could be indeed one where they cap the remainder. Macau does get a nice view in there, but unfortunately the respawns being closer for Incipients will probably make this a bit too hard to deal with. Plus, Macau needs to be careful, has to check that crossfire coming in from Cryptic. Finally claims him, and Incipients will be able to cap this point.
And this is where Incipients get to check in all of that earlier foundation that they have, all of the early plays that got them the 2 ticks in the first place. Had this been earlier on, maybe there's not 2 ticks there. This is where Hong Kong Attitude can still come in, save this point, but because we're nearly capped out, Hong Kong Attitude just have to let it go. They have no opportunity to re-enter, and momentum on Incipients' side. Might not have the ultimates though, but they do have now point control.
A couple of members of Hong Kong Attitude only just finished respawning there, but they've bought themselves the crucial seconds. Macau nearly got away with that. At 7 health, finally got shot in the back, but it didn't matter. He got the kill that he needed, and Hong Kong Attitude can potentially stabilize off that, or maybe not. Yeah, it's a tick, because the res was there on Xeon Flux, and I think Hong Kong Attitude were just kind of expecting that they would get enough kills that Incipients couldn't keep this one going, but that is not the case. It is definitely a cap. Incipients inexorable there. Just keep flooding on in, and I think Hong Kong Attitude probably sent a couple of members into the point A defense a little bit later than was necessary, never quite had the full 6 mustered on point B, and really paid for it.
I think that's the perfect storm, right? The perfect storm of conditions for Incipience to get that speedy cap on through. It's quite rare now to see a team go on to B and get all 3 ticks into one go. That normally doesn't happen, but we do see that here, because when you look at A, it's 2 ticks already done and dusted that they had from an earlier fight. Cap it out. There's not enough time for Hong Kong Attitude to respawn members that are down. Plus, on top of that, you mentioned they were losing members that kind of tried to get back in there late. Because of that, Incipience land on top of B. They just step onto the point. No resistance from Hong Kong Attitude. 1 kill coming up from Macau. Gets rezzed up himself, then dying. And suddenly, everything goes wrong for Hong Kong Attitude.
And I think it could have been so different even if just the tiniest detail had been different. If Macau had got out after picking up a kill there. If maybe the res hadn't been able to come through. If some of those members hadn't have been on point A so late. Any one of those things going slightly differently probably would have been amounted to a defense ultimately. But after really, I won't say struggling, but it took a while for Incipience to break A to then steamroll through onto point B like that. Like you said, bit of a perfect storm. The question is, can Hong Kong Attitude answer it? I'm expecting them to do it in a slow and steady kind of way.
I think if Hong Kong Attitude managed to get a comparable time back to what Incipience have at 3:48, Hong Kong Attitude would need to speed through A very quickly, get themselves maybe a 1 attempt fight there, cap it in 1 minute, remaining 7 minutes there. With those 7 minutes, get it within the 3, maybe get themselves a 4-minute time back. That would be how they could do it. But other than that, it's going to be so difficult for Hong Kong Attitude to compare.
Just sitting tight for now. Incipience sitting quite a ways back as well, I think it is a decision that they have made. That's what I can say about that.
They did the thing.
They could have made a different decision, but they have made this one. They could have, what I'm really saying is they could have gone further forward. This isn't necessarily wrong, but I think it could have maybe profited them because this is a lot more of an all or nothing position. If you do lose it, you've got nowhere to fall back to.
By the way, Shailen's kind of opened up the point a little bit for Macau, who was kind of waiting behind the wall. Because Cryptic died and had to get resurrected there, Macau should have a lot of angles to play with. And there it is, finds a kill.
Yeah, they did at least find that one, but unfortunately it took so long that the divers, who were just kind of playing harass, unfortunately spent too long in the thick of things and went down. They did get a couple of kills though, and their respawners will come in sooner. Oh, they know 10-10's there. 10-10 should be safe though. Hong Kong Attitude, if they can commit quickly, can make something happen here.
Xenoflies, he is kind of even trying to get back to the point. This is now when
giving Fearless a ride.
Hong Kong Attitude should be able to get some objective pressure here and get that first tick underway because Incipience are stuck on this roof. They need to actually get feet on the point.
They've traded 10-10's mech for that first third though. They do trade one back though and even close out on Xenofly. 10-10 on the other hand has been able to re-mech. That's the opening that Hong Kong Attitude needed. It's exactly what Incipience did to them on their own offense. Force the defenders down onto the low ground and be ready for them when they come, and it is off the back of that Hong Kong Attitude will find themselves capping out point A, now with plenty of time to cap point B.
Yeah, not quite 7 minutes, but 6:30, you'll still take it. The big loss here is they don't have an ult on CQB, they don't have an ult on a Ting either, so the other ones really have to do the work here, get past this tire, and the Shailen's got to go to town on that Dragon Blade.
Metallic's, I mean, he just couldn't really find anything with that. 10-10's mech is one thing. Oh, what a catch on Shailin.
This pushes over.
Right as the blade was coming out. Yeah, that's all they really need to hold up here, stop this offense. Even if 10-10 ever gets back in this mech, which he probably will. He's well out of the thick of the fray right now. Oh, as I say that, now he's going to get back in. It's actually Cryptic who maybe needs to be a little bit careful here.
Cryptic's farming a lot of ult here, and 10-10 could get D-Mech again, and that would certainly be worth it. 75% gets the D-Mech from Savage Dab, and this is going downhill very quickly for Hong Kong Attitude. They have about 1 minute 30-ish kind of seconds here, maybe 140 to get a comparable time to Incipience, or they will be at a deficit, and it's looking like the deficit's happening.
I really did like the confidence from Incipience there. Cryptic to stay in the thick of it, knowing that he would get backed up, not just by Savage Dab on the dive, but also, more importantly, the Discord orb that Xeon Flux placed on 10-10. And now again, we're seeing that confidence on display, but this time a little ill-placed. Cryptic, gets Shailin himself there. Right as the blade comes out, he dies, and this is Hong Kong Attitude just kind of barreling in. Took them a moment to really get into the thick of it, get themselves going. It's going to be Incipience trying to struggle back into this nice primal rage by a Tigger zone. These members are barely getting boots on the ground on the point. Cryptic Gonna have to go full Ice Cube here in a moment, just to stall out. A Ting does die, and Metallic staying alive, that's really crucial. Shaolin, even if he does get kills here, the crucial thing is Incipience have been able to regroup as the full 6. This is the defender's advantage at play. Even though it came as close as it did, so close indeed that it's not even a 99.9. It's counting it as a full cap, if not actually fully capped out, but they hold. That's what's important.
So nearly the miracle push cut from Hong Kong Attitude. Nearly made it the one thing stopping them. Savage down with the Primal Rage. If that Primal Rage had not been there, if the ultimate was missing, that would have been a cap on through. A Ting had everyone under his arms, basically knocking them away from the point. So close to capping up, but 2/3, I think you'll take it. 2 ticks means the last tick is imminent.
Oh, you'd be happy to. And yeah, speaking of imminent, there are a lot of pretty dangerous ultimates to fight through. The Death Blossom, the Blizzard about to come up. Nice Pulse Bomb in, but doesn't quite get the mileage. And Cryptic with that Blizzard able to come out, plus the Death Blossom. They've got enough kills. That's what's really mattering here. It doesn't matter how many Hong Kong Attitude get. Doesn't matter if the ultimates that get committed from Incipience aren't these amazing, like, 3K, 4K, 5K type situations. All they need to do is keep holding out, keep the ultimate advantage in their favor, and keep leaning into that defender's advantage.
And Incipience, right, they need to do that because they can't have another disastrous moment where we just saw they were way, way, way ahead, and then suddenly things go so badly. They give away 2 ticks there. Cryptic unfortunately loses his Dragon Blade against a Ting. Similar thing happened for Hong Kong Attitude, but Incipience, we've been here before with this team. They get ahead and then they can't convert that into a win. They play advantages and then lose them equally fast.
And this is where Hong Kong Attitude themselves actually come in with an advantage because they've got the Dragon Blade, they've now got the Valkyrie, and they will have the Self-Destruct as well. They've got a window here. It's before the Blizzard comes up. If they can get in quick, indeed, even if they can maybe pick off Xeon Flux before he can use Transcendence, no, not quite going to have that luck. Hong Kong Attitude is wasting a lot of time now. This is might have been a moment too late, just a fraction of a hair, because there is the Transcendence from Xeon Flux to counter it all out. By the time Cryptic is out of the Ice Cube, he's going to have a Blizzard, and Hong Kong Attitude not getting the quick kills that they needed there, throwing a lot of ultimates in for no gain. And again, this is all Incipients need to do. Lean into the ultimates they have, play to the defender's respawn advantage, and eventually Hong Kong Attitude will run out of time if they keep playing this way.
I guess the only thing...
Brutal!
That sucks for Mango Giant. I was going to say, the sort of silver lining here is you're at least forcing a decent number of ultimates to come out of Incipience, but Hong Kong Attitude making some now late, reasonably late and desperate hero swaps now. Good swaps at that. I think they can find a decent amount of mileage off of Shilen's Farah, off of the Widowmaker pick from Macau, but they need the setup and they need time, and time is one thing they do not have.
Incipience is sitting on some pretty nasty ultimates.
Metallics.
They do sniff out Metallics though, which is nice. He's not going to get a surprise Death Blossom. He's going to have to find some other way in. They have picked a very nice team comp here, Hong Kong Attitude. I like this. This does really make Metallics a lot less effective. But he'll still use that ultimate. He doesn't even need to get much out of it. Going, 1 for none or 2 for 1 is fine. And there is that 1 for none. Even as Xenofly loses the mech, Hong Kong Attitude without Mango Jai can't fight this one out. That's why they had to go back and commit the res, which just means a Ting wasted a chunk of his Primal Rage that is now about to expire, unfortunately. Good catch on Metallics. And they're even getting Xeon Flux. This is a big window.
That's 2 ultimates. The 2 ultimates that Incipients have been taken out. I say that as Savage Dev did actually use a Primal Rage as well. Now we're waiting to see where the Blizzard is. That has to be the game save for Incipients.
Cryptic does go down, but he crucially got the ultimate out in time. Good come in there from Mango Jai to rescue the frozen up members. Yeah, still no Death Blossom. And there's going to be a Rocket Barrage. Metallic's getting res so that he can commit that Death Blossom. They need to do this now because otherwise this pick is just dead weight for them, unfortunately. You never want to give up an ultimate that can be so high impact, but at any rate, Hong Kong Attitude have been beaten back. No thanks to that Death Blossom, but they have been held off.
And I think that Blizzard did such an amazing job for Incipience. Cryptic's just
so close.
Using it just before he dies, kind of just zones Hong Kong Attitude out. That's when Hong Kong Attitude want to be diving deep. That's when they want to be playing aggressive, taking space. But that space is covered in the main ultimate. Cryptic now changing onto a retreat for the final moments.
They're still just waiting for something. Again, they don't actually need to get too much here. Even just killing a Ting, there it goes, is more than enough. They only need that tiny little bit of an advantage, and it just starts to become a watch. Cryptic getting a shot on Mango Jai. There's no way Hong Kong Attitude make this happen. And it's just a Death Blossom for style points. Didn't get any kills. They held on to it for a long time, very suboptimal, but I mean, that is the nature of the defender's advantage, and you have to say it's on Hong Kong Attitude to fail to push through when on paper they have the favorable team comp. In the past, for example, on King's Row, that was all it took for them to be successful. This time around, not so much, and we do see Incipience striking back.
I'm glad Savage Dab is going to play the game here, but I want to say, for me, his play of the game was realistically the one where it wasn't even that impressive. He used his Primal Rage and got to the point in time to stop the snowball pressure from Hong Kong Attitude. That should have been a Hong Kong Attitude cap. It almost was, except Savage Dab managed to touch the point, got everyone else on there in time, and then the stall started coming on through. Metallics was having a decent amount of result with the Mei, so he stays onto it, forcing a hero swap. You know it's good when it's Hong Kong Attitude saying, actually, we can't get past the Mei.
Yeah, it is. And it's interesting as well. Even if that cap had gone through, we would have gone to time bank. There was still the potential for Incipience to win it anyway, but in hindsight, as it turned out, it is that play right there that turned it from a maybe they can win to a yes, they have won. Because they didn't have to go to time bank. They could just profit off the fact that they themselves had an incredible push through onto B. Like we said, a bit of that perfect storm. I don't care if you want to call it an accident or what have you, or totally calculated. You can't deny that the defense there was solid. The defense there was what earned the win more so than the offense. The offense just kind of gave them the opportunity.
But I got to say, you got to take those opportunities because not every single team can make the right sort of sequence of plays there. Yes, you hand the 2/3 cap out into A, but also then you have to know, okay, there's players here who can take them out and then get onto the point quickly enough, and then, okay, what's the next ultimate? What's the next thing we got to do here? How can we actually cap? The odds are still stacked against you. It is still defender's advantage no matter which way you slice it. It just so happens that the right circumstances were there, and Incipience knew how to take advantage of it, and they did just that. Didn't make any mistakes.
Exactly. And with that, they have rightfully earned themselves one map back. We do, however, now go to Escort, and I can't help but feel that this is actually just going back into being Hong Kong Attitude favored, if only for how King's Row went, because in retrospect, that was very one-sided. For how close a lot of team fights came and how good Incipients do look on an individual level, you do also have to accept that playing the team comp situation proactively with that momentum-based gameplay you get from payloads really favored Hong Kong Attitude. It is why they won there, and I think we're just going to see a repeat of that, and we're going to see it, same map we've seen all night so far for Escort, Route 66.
But I see a lot of those Widow duels happen again, because once we got to Temple Anubis, especially for the later part of that, when you get onto B, Widow make a much less of a factor, specifically on defense, and I feel like when you have a team like Incipience that can remove that Macau factor and really play their own brand of gameplay. Note that we've seen a lot of Temple Anubis tonight, but only Incipience have been playing it specifically with Reapers, with the Mei, and putting a lot of that together. This is Incipience's brand and their style right now, and it has worked for them. Can it continue to work for them is the question.
I've been to Route 66. There's no such place as Big Girls.
Are you physically been?
I've physically, yeah, I have actually been there.
But it's not like, it's pretty long though, it's not just one place.
Yeah, but there's, I mean, none of the parts of it have a Big L's diner. Yes, I have, because that's how you get from like one part of the US to the other. It used to be that it was the only route that really connected I feel
like the game wouldn't be allowed to include a real place if it was Big L's was a real place.
You know, there's also it has a sub route. I think it's closed now. Called Route 6. No, it's 666.
Oh,
it's literally sub Route 6 of Route 66, and it's like it genuinely like people.
I wonder why it closed.
People thought it was cursed. Because they're like, oh, some people had car crashes there. It's like, people have car crashes everywhere, eh? Like, that's just part of driving.
Well, I think everywhere is cursed.
Everywhere is cursed.
That being the case.
Yeah. That's it. Close it all down. They didn't close down Highway 13. That still runs. I don't mind that one. It's just like, oh, 666.
I'd like to believe here Savage Dev found something that was like, he's looking hard at whatever was on the wall. He's just sticking his face into it.
I just can't believe that his name is Savage Dab. I mean,
I think we made this joke.
All it's missing is like XX_Savage Dab.
I just gotta say that, but like it just stole the joke. Yeah. Anyway,
sorry.
But that's the thing, right? Because we see this roster, we see the player was like, yeah, he's just missing the XX_.
Yeah. It feels like the sort of thing that like a 14-year-old calls themselves on Xbox Live, like playing Fortnite. Savage Dab. but it's a professional Overwatch player, so let's just go ahead and address what's happening on our screens. Hong Kong Attitude slowly rounding the bend here. I'm liking this team comp as well. They've got Shylin back onto the Genji. Should have no trouble diving the high ground. As I say it, there they go.
So far, Hong Kong Attitude taking a lot of space. Already forcing Incipience onto the ground. Very important now, as both teams should somewhat be looking to take control of Big Earl's high ground, that roof again. While that's happening, though, the cart continues moving. This is Hong Kong Attitude's favor.
Ooh, nice catch. Cryptic getting Macau while he was fishing for an aerial. And with that, they've started to kind of beat back Hong Kong Attitude, who were just on the cusp of taking that high ground for themselves. The early catch on Xeon Flux was good. It forced Incipience back, but the res was there. The counter kills were as well. Incipience do need to respect that Hong Kong Attitude will reset quickly here, because that has bitten them before.
Double Dragon Blade. Metallics is under a lot of pressure, though, and so far, Shylin finding the kills while Metallics is just sitting by. This is too late.
It may well be, indeed it is, as Mango Jai comes back in. Even if he'd got a 3K in his own right, you're right, it's too late, because Hong Kong Attitude, with the closer respawns, with the numbers as they are and the cart underway, are now well poised to cap out point A.
Well, they got the kills first, right? And like you said, closer respawns, they take the positioning onto the cart. Now they're locking down the route of respawn back onto the point itself as well. Cryptic, with the Infrasight, tries to give his team some opening to get back on. It's going to be hard.
Yeah, Hong Kong Attitude, they're smart. They know that they can just pull back to the cart and force Incipience down. If Incipience don't touch the point, it gets capped. The ball is in Hong Kong Attitude's court here, and with Fearless dead, they've got the numbers advantage to boot. Good trade back, though, plus the Transcendence means Hong Kong Attitude have to readdress. The cart no longer belongs to them, and with 10-10 as the sole tank here, they need to give a bit of space and respect to Incipience. Metallic's getting picked, though. This is another window for Hong Kong Attitude. They've set themselves up for this. Now it's all about making it work.
Now we got resurrections rather coming into place here. Shylin coming back online, very important. Cryptic down for the count, and this is where you start to feel like Incipients are losing grip of this defense. Members backed against the wall as well.
Throws the self-destruct up sky high. Xenofly, no dice. Xeon Flux will get picked off while that's all hip-hop happening. And now suddenly Xenofly is the only tank left. Hong Kong Attitude taking their time on this one, knowing that they have the chops to push it through eventually, and really this has just been a classic divide and conquer. Get a couple of picks, leave Incipience on the back foot. They knew it was only a matter of time before they could push it through.
And it feels like token resistance from Incipience towards the later part of that A-cap. As soon as Shylin got that initial double kill, leading into Hong Kong Attitude getting a lot of momentum, Incipience onto the back foot, tried to come back and show that resistance, but ultimately not quite enough. Now the opportunity back for Incipience. What can Metallics get with this blade?
It's got to be a lot, right? It's got to be more than what he got last time, and he has to hope that Shylin doesn't get as much as he did last time around. So, with that sort of battle of the Genji, ooh, good catch on a Ting, and Shylin a little low means he can't quite go in for the Dragon Blade that they want. They are still getting some cart distance, but they haven't really hit the sort of prime defense point.
This should not be the place where Hong Kong Attitude starts backing up and losing control. They have a lot of ultimates. A Ting died mid-primal just by the way as well. Still waiting to see these blades come out, and Metallic straight first.
Oh, straight
dies first.
Yeah, not a smart call, unfortunately. Mango had committed already the Transcendence, so I think Metallic smelled blood a little bit, but it's Hong Kong Attitude who have really opened the flesh wounds. Going to close out on Xeon Flux, whose Transcendence has just ended. That there is how you do it, Metallics. And that's going to be Hong Kong Attitude getting back underway. Nice stall for a moment there by Xenofly, but it's only a matter of time.
It certainly is, but it's going to buy his team a lot of time to play with, and that's very important. A lot of scenarios here in equal measure would have been Hong Kong Attitude pushing much further forward. They'd be halfway, if not 2/3 or 3/4 of the way through B now. That's not the case. Incipience, because they held and stalled that card, they allow themselves to get back onto B, find another 2, maybe 3, 1 or 2 fights.
You're quite right. They have given themselves an opportunity, and at an ideal moment as well, because this is in a real lull in the ult economy for both teams. They're having a recession, both of them, and that means this is about as even a fight as Incipients are going to get in a situation where Hong Kong Attitude have control of the cart. They really need to make it worth their while. Metallic's dying early is not a good way to start. Now it's
Tank pressure good.
Yeah, he can just separate these healers off from the rest of their team. That means the frontliners of Hong Kong Attitude can just pick off the rest of the members. You see that already. Savage Dab going down as a Ting picking up his 3rd for that dive there. Very nicely played by Hong Kong Attitude.
And it's even better than just separating supports there, right? Because he manages to get out Xeon Flux, but not just that. Cryptic is still just kind of hanging around the same area. That's 2 members that are team by himself, kind of takes away from the cap, gives his team a 5 versus 4. Hong Kong Attitude were winning 6v6 anyway. That's just going to be a guaranteed cap.
Now Macau can kind of open up some sight lines for himself here. Cryptic not really contesting too hard here. And Hong Kong Attitude should be able to just keep getting some consistent progress. That's what it really feels like. They've just consistently moved the cart forward at every opportunity where you feel that they should, right? They're making space, they're taking it. When they get stopped up, they have a couple of fights before it's back in their favor, then they win, they get back underway. This really feels like Hong Kong Attitude playing by the book.
They're not really stopping to smell the flowers or anything either. Shaolin back with another blade, Metallics with another blade as well. Both teams have a Transcendence ready to go. You're now going to see potentially both blades doing nothing, or maybe history repeats itself. Shaolin again finds kills, Metallics doesn't.
Wow, Metallics, that's a brazen dive. He saw the CQB right in front of him, did not count on Mango Jai. And here we go, Shaolin. Once again, he's going to go into a Transcendence, much as Metallics just did. And Macau dies. And just nothing for either of those Dragon Blades. That was really anticlimactic on the whole.
Well, I mean, both teams have a Transcendence, kind of what happens there. Now, for everyone else, though, Macau still waiting to use that infra-sighted. Ting's been doing work, gets himself a kill as well. Primal's still ready to go.
I like that Hong Kong Attitude went for that play, but this time it felt a little bit too threadbare. Even getting the kill onto Cryptic here, they do have to respect Incipience's respawn advantage. Even popping Xenofly out of the mech isn't too bad. He should be able to charge that one back up. Even if he doesn't, he's going to be able to respawn quickly. It is still payload progress, don't get me wrong, but the time on the clock is running thin. Hong Kong Attitude needs more convincing fights than that.
They're kind of dry on ults as well. They're about to have another trans, but will it be enough? Metallics back on top of that signature Reaper. Can this hold? That's the big question.
Fearless is already dead. I mean, Hong Kong Attitude are just kind of getting away with dives onto the back line here with a Ting, and I feel like as long as it's continuing to work, they're not going to change their tune. There's no reason to. Even able to keep 10-10 alive as he's demexed is very important for the Mango Jai getting pressured down. He's also going to stay alive. Xeon Flux not going to be so lucky himself, even alive as he is so far away from this fight that he can't impact it. It's by the skin of their teeth that Incipience got a couple of crucial kills there. Now Hong Kong Attitude gearing up for the final push.
You're starting to see now Hong Kong Attitude just might not have the players. Defender's advantage is a little bit too much. Xeon Flux getting kills. Metallics onto the front line. No response at all from Mango Jai. I think that's it.
There it is. That's the Death Blossom that they've been needing. 10-10 was just about to get back in his neck. Good. Yeah, amazing pulse bomb from Cryptic as well. Shuts down Shaolin, what could have been an otherwise game-changing Dragon Blade there, if a little clutch. And that's going to be the hold that Incipients need right at the end. Could not have happened any later. That is the danger of playing the way Hong Kong Attitude did. It was very much a slow and steady wins the race. They played very patiently, but it did mean that by the end of it all, they didn't actually have enough time on the clock to fully close out. They needed bigger, more convincing fight wins. They were a bit too willing to just go in with nothing.
But it's slow and steady wins the race, and not in this case, maybe not even winning the race. Slow and steady kind of finishes near the finishing line, and that's because of how Incipients were playing. I got to harken back to what happened on to B. Note that when Hong Kong Attitude were winning, and I think they were winning reasonably convincingly, that wasn't the issue in my eyes. The issue was that Incipients against Hong Kong Attitude were able to stall up the cart so well. Hong Kong Attitude just couldn't do enough to stop that. You have to go back to when you see Xenofly standing on top of the cart. That didn't happen one time, it happened multiple times. It's either him, maybe it's Savage Dad, maybe it's somebody else just stopping the progress. And you said it yourself, not enough time at the end of the day. The reason they lost that time is because Incipients did such a great job of stalling it to start with.
Now, though, is the real test for Incipients. They have proven that they can at least deal with Hong Kong Attitude in one regard. In sort of, like I said, that very by-the-book Overwatch that Hong Kong Attitude were playing. It's very patient, and it comes with those risks. But it's also, in other ways, very safe. You know, they got most of the way through. You can play a slightly more risky way and either absolutely cap out with a bunch of time or just end up getting completely counted out and stopped up. So I do like what they were doing, but the test here for Incipients is whether they are going to be able to push through themselves. That was terrifying.
I'm scared.
I feel like I feel like the Sombra ARG has continued or something. Like this, it is just
Sombra 2
the screams,
will be released.
the digital
Let's call this, yeah.
screams. At any rate, though, I hope this game isn't haunted, as we are going to have Incipience now out the gate on their offense. See how well they do.
The opening Widow snipes.
Cryptic just fishing for an angle on Shailin, who's just going to be able to slip back into the cave system off to the side there. They're not really holding up a big Earls there. Where's the resistance?
That is very interesting. They could be in the tunnels just to the left. And they should be looking to dive through. They can't waste too much time. Look where the cart is already. Don't want to give away too much distance over to Incipience.
Yeah, they kind of wanted to get the drop on Incipience. Failed that opportunity. They do still get some crucial kills. Macau making it happen.
That was not a good
yeah,
grab.
not ideal. Does not get the pull away there, but Metallics only gets the one for his trouble. Goes down to Mikhail's Venom Mine after Mikhail's dead. That's really painful. And Hong Kong Attitude have held. That's the more important thing.
Oh, that really hurts. So yeah, really bad grapple. But in the end, the Venom Mine was pretty funny. So you give them that one. Hong Kong Attitude. They still hold 1 minute off the clock now, can't distance somewhat halfway through the point. You need to see Incipience kind of pick up the pace here, and they need ultimates to do that with the Hong Kong Attitude ever so slightly ahead.
Shaolin does well with this Dragon Blade. This is a real opportunity for them. He knows that the res isn't available. Just one pick.
Everyone flies away.
Yeah, everyone flies away instantly. He's still going to keep going in, though, because he knows that he can. He's got his whole team behind him. They didn't lose anywhere near a critical amount of members there. It was only Mango Jai, so just fine. Knowing that the tanks are too low to contest Shaolin, he keeps the dive on, makes it work, and Hong Kong Attitude now looking fairly healthy on the defense.
A very cheap fight win as well. They only needed to use a Dragon Blade, no other ultimate, and now they're coming up on those other ultimates. By the way, Shailin just bladed, already on 40%. That's a lot of quick charge.
Yeah. Bargain bin fight, I would say. You know, he got 40% back. He claimed it back on his taxes. At the
I might go back and get another one.
Yeah.
That's how good that value
Double
was.
zip. And I mean, he's going to, not long from now, like you said. He's already halfway to that next Dragon Blade. Metallics does have his own, though. That's what they're going to have to contend with.
He's got like 50 HP though, so he's not really going to be using it just yet. They have to get backwards, maybe get himself healed up, and
Look at how separated they all are. They're not even all in the same place right now. You had Savage Dab way off back trying to deal with someone from Hong Kong Attitude diving. You had Metallics far forward in the middle of nowhere. They're only just starting to regroup now, and it is working for them. It's paying off. Even as a team gets raised, they're able to close out and
but what?
Shailin, yeah, that's the thing. Incipience, even though they finally were able to regroup, so were Hong Kong Attitude. They're just kind of letting Hong Kong Attitude set the pace here.
And Shailin is just clutching really hard for his team, finding the opportunity to get 2 kills with a Swift Strike. I want to say for Metallics, despite how much grief we're giving him for his lack of success on the Dragon Blade, a lot of that is attributed to the fact that Hong Kong Attitude are so actively shutting him down. Look at Metallics' HP every time he's in a fight. When he gets there, he gets spotted. Hong Kong Attitude are on him. He doesn't blade. He can't get a good blade because he's always on low HP.
And here
again,
he's
look!
Exactly, he starts it off and he's already down to 40. Now here's the dive further in, just that he can't just put away the blade even for free. And on the other side of that, Shailin kills Savage Dab. Look at the sheer difference here. This is why Hong Kong Attitude have been able to get the mileage. This is why there is 25 seconds left for Incipience.
And Shailin back online with the Dragon Blade. Metallic's going to try to get this Reaper online, but it just hasn't been working well outside of Anubis. That's when it was good. Every other map that we've seen him pull it out just hasn't worked.
And even then, on Anubis, it was struggling a little bit. It had its points of success, and then beyond that, it was just things going well enough. There was no need to change. This time around, though, CQB, first casualty, mid-Valkyrie as well. Good catch on Macau and a ting down to the self-destruct. Really no resistance there from Hong Kong Attitude. The first time Incipience play proactively, it goes off without a hitch.
And Cryptic, you know, finding opening shots over there. Metallics, doesn't really matter. He can just walk on through. Once they get some player advantages that can't get rezzed up, and there's no clutch plays out of Shailin, despite him having a blade there, didn't bother to use it, maybe couldn't find the right opportunity to use it, maybe too threatening was the Incipient side. Either way, once they got a couple of picks in there, they rolled through, self-destruct from Xenofly found one as well. Suddenly, we're on to point B.
Ooh, Cryptic does take a fair whack in the face, though. He's going to be just fine, but that does give Macau those sightlines. He owns this area now. It does mean Incipients have to move somewhat carefully.
It's a long flank.
Yeah, just to find Mango Jai, and by the time he's going to get there, Xeon Flux will already be dead, and actually that just means Metallics is kind of on the wrong side of his team right now. Xeon Flux, though, does get res, CQB goes down. That means Incipience have found the hold here, so it does end up paying off, but I mean, that's exactly the sort of play that's actually backfired in the past for Incipience. It's worked this time around, but I'm kind of surprised here that Hong Kong Attitude haven't been more aggressive.
And I want you to note the difference here as well, because right now you have Incipience winning a team fight, but also able to proactively push this cart. In the same exact scenario for Hong Kong Attitude, when they attacked, they had to push the cart from the start. Incipience already have this more than halfway, and Hong Kong Attitude are going to be hard pressed to get here on time, and when they do, they're going to be playing into some ultimates too.
Naturally, it's not over until it's over, though, because here goes Xiaolin right out the gate. Both supports with the Swift Strike, and then Cryptic to boot with the Dragon Blade. Absolutely popping off. That is why we are excited to see Xiaolin back in this DPS role. You talked about, oh, there's these ultimates. It's not an ideal situation, but still, when the moment came, Hong Kong Attitude did still very much perform. And again, they're now actually in a situation where, despite the cart being close, despite the good push on B there, Incipients are running out of time.
I'm going to take the neutral ground here. It was good from both teams here because Hong Kong Attitude, the clutch factor has been real. It's been very real this entire map, this entire series. But for Incipients, the win condition is also there. Either team could complete this right now. A full hold for HKA, a cap out for Incipients.
Self-destruct just kind of tossed in by 10-10. CQB again dying mid-Valkyrie. Cryptic has done a very good job of keeping tabs on that. As Mango Jai, now the soul healer, did at least have... Oh, Metallics! Nice reflect by Xiaolin. Very much ideal. And that should be all it takes for Hong Kong Attitude for that last defense. Macau not getting too much, didn't need to get much. It's just these tanks now with no one to heal them and no one to res them. No way to prolong their lives. Xiaolin with another Dragon Blade just swinging at air because all of Incipients are already dead. They're not going to get the same mileage as Hong Kong Attitude did. As it turns out, Slow and Steady does win the race, and Hong Kong Attitude will close out not only Route 66, but also the series 3-1.
And man, that reference works because Incipients' logo is a rabbit.
If only Hong Kong Attitudes was a turtle and not a dragon.
That's a lizard. I'll take that. Slow lizard. What's not slow is Xiaolin. Look, this highlight reel of great plays. This has been his map, man. This entire defense, he's been fantastic on the Genji. You got to say, a lot of those early moments there, he gets the Dragon Blade first, gets a lot of mileage on it. Metallics doesn't, again, attributed mainly to the fact that Hong Kong Attitude do such a great job of shutting down Metallics. And then they just continue snowballing that advantage, get other ultimates. By the time Metallics has his Dragon Blade, Xiaolin's on 40% again. The man is on fire.
I have to say, that was a very satisfying match to watch because there was no bells and whistles, no frills, nothing fancy, nothing special. It was just Hong Kong Attitude turning up on the first day of the season, having not quite made as high a ranking as they wanted in Season 1, just looking good, playing a good game of Overwatch, playing their game of Overwatch.
Yep.
And they didn't try and change anything up. I mean, role swaps notwithstanding. If anything, it looks more like they're back to their old selves, able to unlock Xiaolin back in the same way. There was nothing particularly shaky about it. They didn't try and do anything too flashy or overextend. They played smart, they played safe, and it was just good all across the board. They do need to push to another level if they do want to be that first place finisher, but this is a really good start. This is a level that can and will carry them to playoffs.
And I think it's a pretty decent start for Incipients as well. I think they can be proud of that one map when they got. That was very credit where credit is due, right? Yeah. This is a veteran squad in Hong Kong Attitude. You are the Trials team challenger here. You're not expected to realistically win, but to push Hong Kong Attitude to threaten the other three maps while then winning one outright, like seriously winning it too. It's not like that one was close. Anubis was all Incipients. I think they're off to a decent start themselves. Click one map off a favorite and move on, not feeling too bad.
Yeah, absolutely.